Okay, so again, welcome to our quarterly modernization and issuer outreach call. My name is Renee Justbuddy. As I mentioned earlier, I am a senior business analyst on the customer experience team in the Office of Security Operations here at Ginnie Mae. Next slide, please. So today, if we can go back to the agenda, thank you. So today we do have quite a bit of information to share with you all. So we're going to make sure that we can get into the meat of it and get things going rather quickly here for the sake of time. We're going to start off with some RSA Soft Token highlights. Then for all of our Ginnie Mae issuers, we're going to talk about some exciting information regarding RFS expanded data collection. And for our single family issuers, we will discuss the new payment default status. Then we're going to talk about some exciting information for our document custodians and HMBS issuers that have to do with my Ginnie Mae Enhancements and portalization. Then we're going to transition into Ginnie Mae Central and discuss some updates on the compliance and monitoring insurance and financials modules. And we're going to close out with information and update or highlights rather, and some reminders related to the single family pool delivery module and digital collateral programs. And then of course, we will close everything out with final Q&A. Please know that we will be pausing in between some of these topics to take your questions. So don't feel as if you need to hold your questions till the end. Next slide, please. Okay, I am going to hand things off to Harrison to discuss the RSA Soft Token.
Thanks, Renee. Good afternoon, everyone. We can jump to the next slide. So I believe this has been updated on a couple of our past modernization outreach calls, but wanted to cover the RSA token automated provisioning with updates around the recent implementation and some things that your teams can expect going forward related to the RSA soft tokens. So mid-December, December 15th, we formalized the implementation of the new automated provisioning process. So now all RSA Secure ID soft tokens will be automatically provisioned and managed through the My Ginnie Mae functional request workflows. So if you are an org admin or an end user and are either requesting or receiving a functional role, which requires a Secure ID soft token in order for you to do business, that provisioning will be tied directly to that functional role request. And as I'm sure many people have seen, the distribution will be automated and sent to the users so that they're able to set up that token in line with getting access to the applications. So that was implemented in December, and now we're in the last phase of this effort, which is some token cleanup activities, which we'll cover in more detail in a couple slides. But for folks who have not heard or have not seen the communications regarding this, do want to quickly go to the next slide just to cover some of the new capabilities and benefits that our issuers and document custodians can expect with this. All right, so I won't go into each of these benefits individually, but I think the key things to highlight related to this implementation are the streamlining of the provisioning of the tokens. It no longer requires the separate paper form in order to get a soft token. It is now tied directly to our functional role request workflows that we have in My Ginnie Mae. So we're now able to tie that directly, and anyone who needs a token based on the roles that they're receiving, we'll make sure that that provisioning is done in a timely manner. And then one of the other big benefits related to this is for existing users who hold the RSA soft tokens, we now have self-service capabilities built within the My Ginnie Mae portal that will allow you to request new QR codes or installation files if you choose to change that token to a new device or upgrade your phone and want to reinstall it on the new phone. Rather than having to go to the help desk, you can now do that self-service through My Ginnie Mae. And then all of the information and steps for new token setup, as well as the self-service functionality, have been posted in quick reference cards that can be found on the Ginnie Mae website. As token holders know, if you have any issues or questions while using that token, you can still reach out to Ask Ginnie Mae at HUD.gov, and our support team will be available and ready to help you make sure that you get your token all set up and ready to use. And then one other item related to this is the synchronization between the tokens and the My Ginnie Mae profiles. So for all of our organization administrators who are on the call, you should now see for all of your users within the Access Management Console who have a token assigned to their account, that token information will be displayed on their profile. You'll be able to see that serial number automatically added, as well as the aliases that are linked to that token. And this has also been incorporated into our home organization user list report. So when you pull that report, it will be automatically synced with the latest information of tokens linked to My Ginnie Mae profiles. I know this was previously a manual activity that our admins had to do to add that information. This is now done automatically as the two systems are connected. Okay, so now covering the token cleanup portion of this. As I was just talking about the synchronization of the profiles to the RSA tokens, this completed alongside of the implementation of the provisioning solution. So all of that information is now available to our organization administrators via the user management tile in the Access Management Console, as well as the reports that are available for the list of home organization users. And now we have two phases of additional cleanup that are upcoming. The first is the disablement of unused tokens. So all of our RSA soft tokens that have been distributed that have not been used since distribution or are not connected to a My Ginnie Mae account will be removed and retrieved so that they could be put back into circulation for other users in the future. So if you fall into that group where you have a token that has been distributed to your account, but you have not used it or do not have an associated My Ginnie Mae profile, you will receive communications when that removal is done, and also allow you some time to let us know if you actually do intend to use that token, and we'll make sure that it is not removed and can be properly synced to a My Ginnie Mae profile if needed. The second cleanup activity that's going to happen is related to our authorized signer functional roles. For users who do not have a RSA token, but have the authorized signer role, those authorized signer roles will be removed from users. If you need an authorized signer function in the future, when that is provisioned through My Ginnie Mae, it will also automatically provision the token for that user with the new provisioning process that's in place. And additionally, related to our issuers only, we will be adding a connection to the MAMS 11702. As we know, to be an authorized signer for an issuer, you must also be listed on the 11702. So we will add synchronization to that form, where if a user drops off of the 11702, any associated authorized signer functional roles and the token would be removed from that user automatically. And this just allows us to keep a more clean and consistent record of users' access and the tokens, and make sure that we're not leaving any tokens out there that aren't being used or are not needed. And then just as a reminder, for each of our organizations, the organization administrators are responsible for managing the end user access and making sure that they have all the appropriate roles, are on the 11702 if they are an issuer and have a token, so that they're able to have the access that they need to do business with Ginnie Mae. So that's it for the RSA Secure ID token update. Renee, I don't know if we want to take questions now or just move ahead and do Q&A at the end.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and hold questions now. However, if
Okay.
you have questions that you'd like to ask, we are going to pause after the next two topics to take questions. So in the meantime, you can feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box, which is at the bottom of your screen. So feel free to put all questions there. All right. Next, I'm going to hand it over to the lead for RFS Expanded Data Collection.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who haven't heard me on prior webinars, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Heather MacDonald, and I help support the RFS Expanded Data Collection Initiative. And so we can move on to the next slide. This shouldn't be a new topic for folks who have attended previous webinar calls, but we wanted to come back and provide additional information and some next steps that are coming down the pipeline. But first off, just in case there is anybody who needs a refresh or isn't aware and is new of what the RFS Expanded Data Collection Project is. So essentially, Ginnie Mae is looking to add additional loan level data elements onto the various and as well as the loan records. And so we are looking to do this for both single family and multifamily data elements. A lot of these data elements are already available on the pool level, but we are looking to now collect these elements on the loan level. And so just a quick, benefit. So this will be great for expanding loan level data sets and data disclosure to investors and just overall better visibility to monitoring the MBS. But with that being said, we can move on. Just to talk a little bit, we've talked through some of this. So we have here, our existing data elements and the new ones that we are looking to add. For reference, everything from scheduled UPB down to doc custodian and subservicer IDs. And I know we've talked about this before, and these slides will be sent out, and you can look at these for details along with Appendix 619, which for those of you who have read through the prior APM that came out, we had an updated Appendix 619. In just a little bit, we'll talk about the new APM that is coming out, as well as updates to that appendix. But for those of you who just needed a refresh, these are the various and loan records that we are looking to put into effect. And just to note that all of these are applicable for single family, only some of these are applicable for multifamily, and that will be also detailed in the appendix, as well as other communication items that we have coming out. Moving forward, and these are the reason codes as well that will be either updated or added to the loan record. But mostly we wanted to talk on this slide, on this presentation, about some of the upcoming milestones. And in the sake of time, we can move forward so we can allow all the other wonderful projects to speak as well. So the first thing we wanted to reiterate, especially since we are getting closer to our actual file testing and implementation phase of this project, I know we have been in communication with lots of organizations over the last few months. For those of you who we have been talking to, thank you so much for being great partners. For others who are interested and have questions, please reach out to the Ginnie Mae Ask Ginnie Mae inbox if you have questions or comments or need some additional clarity. But we wanted to reiterate that for the RFS expanded data collection process, we are viewing file uploaders as kind of this term we're calling testing organizations. So we're splitting that into three, different definitions. So anybody who is either you are an issuer and you have your own proprietary in-house monthly reporting software, you will be testing for these RFS additional data elements on your own. We also have lots of issuers who use third-party software reporting vendors and service bureaus. If you are an issuer who uses one of those, you will not be required to individually test. That testing will happen on your behalf via your service bureau or other third-party vendor. So we just wanted to make sure we were reiterating that distinction. You only, as an individual issuer, only have to test and report a test file if you have your own proprietary in-house software. Otherwise, your servicing bureau or third-party vendor will be the one submitting the data file, and you will not have to submit on your own. We did add a third on the bottom there, that third bullet there. Even if you have a service bureau or third-party vendor, if for other reasons you still wish to test on your own, you may, but you will not be required to. This will be for both single family and multifamily portfolios. And if you are an issuer or a service bureau, if you fall into these one of these testing organizations buckets, and you have both single family and multifamily portfolios, you must conduct those testings separately. So you must do your single family and your multifamily reporting separately. They cannot be in the same file. We just wanted to make sure we clarified that definition so you are aware of whether or not you will be testing or if you will be having an organization test on your behalf. And we highly recommend that even if you are not an issuer testing on your own and you work with your own vendor or service bureau, we highly recommend that you get in touch with them, coordinate with them, make sure that everything, at least on your end, there's nothing else that you need to provide to them, and just coordinate to make sure that communications are streamlined. All right, and so then moving on. So now that we've talked through who exactly a testing organization is and will be submitting files, we do want to talk a little bit through our testing timeline. So previously you saw APM 2305 had been announced. If you have not seen it before and have not navigated to the Ginnie Mae website under the initiatives page, we do have a section of the initiatives page for RFS expanded data. So I do recommend anyone who hasn't been there yet, please navigate there, as we will be using that as our centralized hub for various documents and communications. So we have the previous modernization call on there. Our presentation will have this one. We have the APM posted and the most recent appendix and other documentations that will be able to assist you with RFS expanded data that will all be posted in that section under the initiatives page. So please reference that if need be. Thank you so much, Nicole, for throwing that in the chat. And so where we are now, we're just about the end of January, we're now in February. And so we are looking to do 2 different testing cycles. And so please be on the lookout for an APM that should be coming out in the very near future from Ginnie Mae that will be outlining the overall testing timeline, as well as our go live report, along with a slightly updated Appendix 619, just with some operational and definition changes. So nothing that will change the way that you have been putting together your internal file layouts, but that APM will be coming soon. And along with that, we will be releasing this file testing timeline, a mod bulletin, testing instructions, as well as a testing plan layout for any testing organization to fill out to let us know how they will be testing in terms of volume of loans, method, whether My Ginnie Mae upload or SFTP, and contact information. So with that being said, we are giving organizations 2 different windows, optional, one or the other, for testing. So to reiterate, you do not have to test in both cycles, but you must complete at least one of the testing cycles that we have here. So if you choose to test in March, so March 2024, if you decide that your system is ready and you can produce a test file in March 2024, you will be using January 2024 report period data. However, since March is coming in the near future, and if you need more time to prepare your systems to create those loan level data test files, we will have a second opportunity for you to test, and that will be in May 2024. So you can either test in March, or if you choose instead that you need a little bit more time, you do not have to do the March testing, just the May. And with that, you would use February 2024 data. And so with that being said, we are doing this all in preparation for a July 2024 go live. And so with that being said, July, you'll be first and foremost required to report these loan level data using June 2024 report period. And in the sake of time, I will have us move on. I know we will be holding questions until the end. But in terms of some quick next steps, so like we had mentioned, be on the lookout for that upcoming APM to provide further clarification on the appendix and testing. Those tools and resources that I had mentioned, the mod bulletin, everything that will be posted on the initiatives webpage, and then the next step for testing organizations to prepare for that first March testing window for a July 2024 go live. And with that being said, we can go ahead and move on. I believe it will still be me. But we are now going to move on to talk about PDS reporting, payment default status. Similarly, this is something that should not be a new concept for folks, and it's fairly similar to RFS in terms of this will be a loan level data collection process. The difference is this is for single family issuers only. So if you're a multifamily or HECM, HMBS, this does not apply to you. This is just for single family issuers, which encompasses manufactured housing. And so this is specifically around collecting more information around defaulted loans. And so this will follow a very similar set of testing and go live as RFS, with a new appendix and file layouts to report. The only difference in terms of reporting is this is a new reporting stream. It is still within the RFS boundary, but instead of being an addition to the loan or various record that you already report, this is going to be a new record, the D record, the default record, so a new reporting stream. But in terms of how you will upload My Ginnie Mae or SFTP, that will not change. And we can move on. And like we had said, these slides will be available for reference at the end if you need to look for details. But the delinquency record will now, which I believe we are renaming to the default record, will have things such as now default reason codes and default action codes that are required to be reported, along with a few other fields. But if we would like to move on as well, mostly what we wanted to talk about here is similarly the timeline. So I would like to make it very clear, because I know we've had some questions. RFS additional loan level reporting and PDS reporting are 2 different report streams. And when I say that with the testing, you do not need to report them together. They are different reporting streams, different testing files. You do not need to report those together if you are a single family issuer. So we will have a similar timeline for testing for PDS. The difference though here is while we will begin testing around the same time in March of 2024, we are going to open up about an 8-window rolling test period where you can choose which month you would like to report your test file. And we're giving the flexibility here since it is a new report stream. You only have to submit one test file. Once we receive that test file, process it, and come back with enough acceptance criteria that you have successfully produced a PDS test file anytime between March and December of 2024, you are then allowed to begin reporting official production PDS data once you finish that test. So just to make sure we reiterate the difference, RFS additional data, 2 set testing timelines, 1 file upload in March or in May, and everybody will be required to come up and report in July of 2024. PDS, we will open the testing window in March of 2024 as of right now, and you are allowed to test a file whenever you are able to and produce that file between March and then around October, November of 2024. Once you successfully test, you then have the choice to start reporting before December 2024 if you would like, but then December 2024, it is mandatory go live and reporting of PDS for those who have defaulted loans. Of course, if you do not have defaulted loans, you are not required to test as you do not have that data available. So similarly with PDS, please be on the lookout for an upcoming APM in various communications, including testing instructions, mod bulletin, and a mod initiative section that is under construction. And with that being said, we can go ahead and move on to the next slide. And very similarly, I just wanted to reiterate, testing organizations will be defined similarly for PDS. We understand that the RFS additional data elements and PDS data elements are different data streams and will probably have different folks who are creating those data sets. But in terms of who we are looking to report a test file, it is similarly going to be if you have your own software for reporting defaulted loan data, you have to report yourself. However, if you use a third-party vendor for the defaulted loan data, they will test on your behalf and you are not required to. And we can go ahead and move on as well. So the next steps, like we had mentioned, please be on the lookout for an APM. It will follow the RFS APM, so you will see the RFS one come first, and then not too long after, we will have the PDS APM come out along with various communication items that will reiterate and further detail much of the information that we've talked to today in terms of timeline, testing requirements, instructions, and other sorts of details to make sure that everyone who has defaulted loan data to report will be up to speed and able to test and report. And I believe that is it for me on RFS and PDS. Renee, I will pass it to you. I know we had mentioned we will be holding Q&A, but just wanted to pass it to you.
Yes, thank you, Heather. All right, so now we're going to move on to GinnieNET enhancements and the new dashboards for our document custodians and HMBS issuers. And I believe we have Heather, I'm sorry, not Heather, Alex on the call, and she will be presenting these slides.
Hi, yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Alex.
All righty. So super excited to kind of give an overview of this project. So the purpose of the GinnieNET enhancements is really to optimize the user experience by creating synchronicity between GinnieNET and the My Ginnie Mae portal. So some benefits and functionalities that we're looking at. The first one is just optimized GinnieNET access. So MGM will now feature a GinnieNET tab directly on the portal's webpage, and you can see an example just to the left in that image. I also do want to note that currently GinnieNET is accessible through the tools dropdown. GinnieNET will remain accessible through the tools dropdown. Just the new tab there will add just a more optimized or efficient way to access GinnieNET. The second benefit is the session timeout. So GinnieNet's runtime will now be in sync with MGM. So that will just prevent any discrepancy in session timeouts that users might have recently faced. And then the last benefit to the GinnieNet enhancements is the design enhancements. So the GinnieNet screens will now be styled to match the MGM user interface. So that will just ultimately create a more cohesive user experience overall. And if we can move on to the next slide, please. And then the other part of this project is the MGM dashboards for HMBS and document custodian users. So the overview of this aspect is pooling information will now be available on My Dashboard in the MGM portal. So just some quick snapshots of what that's going to look like. But the nice thing now is that for HMBS and document custodian users, when they go to log into their portal and they go to their dashboard, they will have pooling information available directly within the MGM portal, rather than having to go to GinnieNet to receive that specific piece of information. And that's pretty much the overview of the MGM enhancements and politicization project.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we're going to transition over into Ginnie Mae Central.
Thanks,
Sean.
Renee.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me give you an update on Ginnie Mae Central. For those of you following along closely, while we initially announced Ginnie Mae Central in May 2023 during a modernization call, we initially planned to go live with Ginnie Mae Central beginning late last year, but encountered an issue, a delayed deployment. The issue was resolved fairly quickly, but we didn't want to deploy in the middle of a busy season for our issuers and cause undue headaches. So we are now going live with Ginnie Mae Central in May this year. But before we jump into the adoption timeline, let me give you an overview of Ginnie Mae Central. So Ginnie Mae is modernizing the insurance, financials, and compliance and monitoring core business processes for issuers and doc custodians to efficiently interact with Ginnie Mae. We're doing this by creating a collection of 3 modules accessible via My Ginnie Mae. Let's take a look at these modules. We have them here in front of you. First, the insurance module. This will be for the submission of insurance policies, such as fidelity bonds, errors and omissions, and mortgage bankers bonds. This replaces the IPA module, or Ginnie Mae Enterprise Protocol Independent Public Accounting module. Second, there's the financials module, which is for the submission of annual audited financial statements, including required supplemental reports. Also replaces the IPA module. Lastly, there's the compliance and monitoring module, which is for the submission of various documents depending on the scope of compliance review. So this replaces the third-party system, which was conducted by Ginnie Mae's field review contractor. So now let's go to the next slide and take a high-level look at the adoption timeline for Ginnie Mae Central. In March, we'll be announcing the transition and publishing an APM modernization bulletin, as well as specific timelines for each module. Those will be published on the Modernization Initiatives page on Ginnie Mae's website. You will be notified via My Ginnie Mae messages and e-notifications when those documents are available. In April, we'll publish additional training materials to the Modernization Initiatives page on Ginnie Mae's website. And again, you will be notified via My Ginnie Mae messages and e-notifications when those are available. In May, we will implement Ginnie Mae Central. And then in May, we will also conduct training on Ginnie Mae Central. So we will keep you informed via My Ginnie Mae messages and e-notifications on specific dates when adoption and training materials become available. And so that's all I have for an update for Ginnie Mae Central.
Thank you, Sean. All right, and I will go ahead and take it from here. And we are going to provide some updates or highlights on SFPDM. Next slide, please. All right, so for those of you who are not aware, Ginnie Mae has transitioned from GinnieNET to SFPDM for pooling activities for single family and manufactured housing issuers. Some of the next steps that we've outlined here are that back in December, a mod bulletin was published on GinnieMmae.gov announcing new SFPDM enhancements that became available in December. Coming shortly, we will be having a PDD appendice that will clarify some information around the PDD that will be outlined in a modernization bulletin. One thing I'd like to call out here is that for these PDD clarifications, they are not changes to the schema. So just wanted to call that out there. And then lastly, for pool and loan data export, sometimes referred to as the 11705 and 11706, the data export for submitted pools are only available as a MISMO client data set and an Excel format in SFPDM. And issuers are advised to please make sure that you do not rely on the GinnieNET legacy flat file. And if you'd like additional information on the sample file, you can refer to the sample file in the SFPDM user manual. Again, this presentation will be available to you after today's call. So these hyperlinks will take you to those sections on the GinnieNet or GinnieMmae.gov. Moving over to the right, some great numbers from our single family issuers. We thank you so much for your continued business and adoption of SFPDM. To date, we have over 240 issuers pooling in SFPDM. So kudos to all of you all who transitioned successfully and are now pooling in SFPDM. We also have more than $150 billion of total OPB that has been issued and transferred in SFPDM. So again, wonderful, great numbers. We're so excited that you all have successfully transitioned to SFPDM. And for those of you who have questions about the application or how to navigate in SFPDM, please send all of your emails and inquiries to the Ask Ginnie Mae at HUD.gov mailbox. I know that in the past you were sending your questions to the MISMO mailbox, but that mailbox has since been decommissioned and all inquiries should now go to Ask Ginnie Mae at HUD.gov. All right, next slide, please. All right, so for our single family issuers who are producing the digital collateral or participating in the digital collateral program. If you are a single family issuer who are delivering digital collateral e-notes, you should now be populating the e-note indicator in SFPDM, and we thank you so much for doing that. For our non-e-issuers, we are at Ginnie Mae are encouraging all non-e-issuers to begin populating the e-note indicator as false to prepare you for a future requirement. And below here, we've outlined the two ways to deliver the e-note indicator in SFPDM. First to the left, it is through the PDD 3.0. So e-note indicator is only supported by the 3.0 specification. And you can see a sample of this e-note indicator in the appendix C, scenario 6. Again, this appendix is provided on the Modernization Initiatives page for SFPDM on GinnieMay.gov to be able to see that there. Moving over to the right, if you are a manual entry issuer or if you are delivering pools via the PDD 2.0, you can populate the e-note indicator manually by going to the loan details page and selecting the drop-down, as you can see in the screenshot below, and the e-note indicator will be under the general section. So again, if you're a manual entry issuer or if you're delivering pools via the PDD 2.0, you can select the e-note indicator by on the loan details page under the general section. All right, next slide, please. And we have come to the conclusion of our call. So we would like to take your questions. We have a few minutes to take your questions. And please know that if we do not get to your questions right now, I will be able to, myself or the folks on the project team will be able to respond to your questions via email after the call. So there are 3 ways that you can ask questions. You can ask a question by selecting the raise hand icon and the reactions toggle at the bottom of your screen. Just please make sure to unmute yourself when the host allows you to speak. If you've dialed in from your phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand, and that will allow us to know that you have a question on the phone. And like many of you have already done, you can put your question in the Q&A box at the bottom of the webinar screen. So we do have quite a few questions, and I'd like to go ahead and jump right into those that are in the Q&A. And if we have any questions on the call, we'll get to those after we've gone through these a few of these questions. So first, there are some RSA related questions. The first one is, what criteria is being used to determine if an RSA soft token should be disabled? Harrison?
Yep. So the token status and the active status of a token is tied directly to the My Ginnie Mae functional role access going forward. So if you have an authorized signer functional role, that requires an RSA token. If that role gets removed from your account, the token would be also deprovisioned from the access. And it's regarding the cleanup activity, the tokens that will be removed are tokens that have never been used. So I think there was another question about authentication versus usage. We track an authentication as usage. So if the token has never been used within the system, then that token would be part of the group that we would disable and take back. And as mentioned, if you fall into that category, you will receive a notification ahead of time to give you a chance to let us know that you need to keep that token, and we can help provide information of how to make sure it stays active through a valid authentication.
Thanks, Harrison. You did a 2-for-1 there. So there's also a question from someone who previously was on the 11702, but they're not currently because they were on maternity leave at the end of the year, and they like to know how they can get re-added and make sure that their signer role is not removed.
Yeah, do we have anyone on from Bank of New York operations who can speak more specifically to the MAMS update and how to and who to work with from the organization to update the MAMS 11702?
I believe we do. Padma, are you on? I know that perhaps are you able to answer this question for us?
I was trying to get off mute. I would defer this to Sean or somebody from the operations for MAMS.
Okay, so that question is Jessica Black from Jessica Blackburn. It sounds like we may have some audio issues, and our bank operations folks are not able to respond right now, but we will take this back and respond to your question after the call today. Okay. All right, we have another question about the 11705 in SFPDM. Someone is saying that they are able to do a mass print from the 11705 in SFPDM and would like to know, is it possible to do that for the 11711B and 11706 with details instead of going into GinnieNET?
Yes, any report or HUD form that's available in the HUD forms is available for bulk download. 11706 and 11711B can also be printed in bulk.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another RSA soft token question, Harrison. As an RSA soft token holder, must be on the 11702, but they did not understand correctly going forward. All 11702 signers would be issued an RSA token?
No, not all 11702 signers would be issued an RSA token. The only instance of this would be if you receive a authorized signer functional role within My Ginnie Mae, that will be the trigger for an issuance of an RSA token.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a question for RFS testing. Jacqueline would like to know, for RFS testing, what detail is required for testing, and would like to know, will there be any test scripts to follow for testing? I can take this, and someone from the project team can tag on if you'd like. But Jacqueline, great question. So the project team is going to be developing test instructions for testing organizations to test in RFS, to test those new data elements. Once those testing instructions are made available, an e-notification in My Ginnie Mae portal message will be sent out to make you aware of that, as well as a link will be provided in a forthcoming mod bulletin that we will also be publishing. So the short answer to your question is yes, test instructions will be available for you to follow, as well as how to create a test plan, and also how to register to become a tester. Okay. We have a question for PDS, and the question is, for December go live for default reporting, is it December data reporting in early January or November data reporting in early December? And the answer to that question is, it is November data reporting in December. So you're going to be reporting November data in December for the go live in December. Another question, will issuers be able to download more than one pool from the SFPDM Pools and Loans dashboard into one XML file? This will be useful when uploading the XML file to MSP. Bank of New York Mellon.
Yes, you will be able to export when on pools and loan screens. When you select more than one pool, you see the export XML on the top. You could use that button to export more than one pool in an XML format. All the pools will be combined into a single XML, and you're able to do a bulk export.
Thank you, Padma. Another question around RFS testing. Will there be a test environment in Ginnie Mae uploads so that test files are not being submitted in production? Heather, I don't want to answer that.
Yes, sorry, I was talking on mute. Yes, so there has been a training production environment created, and actually, if you are currently depending on how you currently upload, whether it's secure SFTP or secure FTP or My Ginnie Mae, if you are a My Ginnie Mae uploader, and you are able, and you apologies, if you are currently a My Ginnie Mae uploader, when you go to log on to My Ginnie Mae, you will actually now see on the drop-down menus in tools a TP environment testing link that is now available. So to answer your question in short, yes, there will be a test environment. We are asking that it will, when you submit your test file, that you take a cut of production data. And we can talk more about that in the testing instructions when we release that. But there will be a testing environment for you to upload, whether it's SFTP or My Ginnie Mae upload.
And Heather, can I add that for secure FTP or institutions that use the secure FTP method for uploading data, it is the same secure FTP. The file naming convention will differentiate from any production file to the test file. So.
All right, thanks for clarifying, Matt. Okay, so we have another question. Okay, around SFPDM. Do we know when the maturity date field will be populated in Excel format? And is there anything in queue to allow the users to filter by pool the issue date and only be presented with the pools for that month rather than every pool issued in SFPDM?
The first question, I'll have to check if maturity date is not already on it. We will add it to the backlog. The second question, you should regarding the filters, I'm just checking.
They're asking if they can filter by
Filter.
pool
Right.
and by the pool issue date and only be presented with the pools for that month rather than all the pools in SFPDM, all the pools issued in SFPDM.
Yes, just give me a minute. There is an issue date filter in the advanced filters using which you're able to search for pools issued in that particular month. So under the advanced filters blue button on the SFPDM pools and loan screen, the second filter you say is the issue date filter that takes 2 dates from and to. If both dates are the same, it will filter all the date pools for that particular month issued in that month. It's located in the advanced filters.
Thank you, Padma. Do we have a training video that shows how to do that in SFPDM?
I'm not sure, but I have the application open. I can show it now.
We have, okay.
Okay.
We only have 7 minutes, but I would like to get
If they
to.
can reach out to us offline, we would be able to show it.
Yeah,
Yes.
perfect. Yes. So Chris, you can reach out through the Ask Ginnie Mae at HUD.gov mailbox and submit a request to have a demo presented to you on how to do that functionality in SFPDM, and the team will be able to do that for you. Thank you. So there's another question saying, when a loan closes in a trust, the borrower type legal entity is selected, but the full name of the borrower as it appears on the trust only allows for 20 characters in SFPDM. Their document custodian needs the name to match exactly what is on the note, but if the borrower's name is longer than 20 characters, they can't match it exactly. Is there a way around this, and will the character limit for legal entity full name be expanded in the future? Do we know if that's in the backlog, Padma?
Yes, this is in the backlog. For both individual and borrower names and entity borrower names, to increase the length of the field is in the backlog.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, next question. Someone wants to know, they thought that Ginnie Mae had been disabled years ago and would like to know who still uses it. So I can shortly answer the question, but I'm sure the bank can answer it a little bit more in detail. Document custodians do still use GinnieNET to do their part of for the loan and pooling process. So document custodians are still in there. RFS reporting is still done in GinnieNET, and GinnieNET is actually being portletized or being portletized into My Ginnie Mae, so that way issuers will be, or everyone will be able to access RFS reporting in GinnieNET through the My Ginnie Mae portal. So if anybody wants to add on to that, please feel free, but I believe that's the long of the short. Another question, can we prepare RFS test files in a test environment if that environment is sourced from production data? Yes, so Heather did mention that when testing your RFS files in the test environment, you're being asked to pull production data to test those test files in RFS. And again, additional information will be provided in testing instructions when they are ready to be disseminated through a mod bulletin.
Yes, correct. We do not have a preference on how you prepare it in-house, as long as it is production data. And then I also see, since I'm off mute for the next question, Renee, just to quickly answer that payment default status, it will replace the forbearance file. So once you begin reporting PDS, you will no longer have to report that forbearance file.
Thank you. Will Ginnie Mae program updates in Chapter 34 tell issuers when to use removal code 7?
Yes, that form will be updated and it should be available come go live. I believe that is when the official form comes out.
And someone joined late. Yes, these slides will be available at the end of the call. While we're continuing to go through these questions, we have 3 minutes left, and I know some folks are going to have to drop. But we would like for you to complete our post-training survey that someone from our team will put in the chat for you to access. So Please do complete the survey. We're not ending. We're going to try to go ahead and get through these questions for you all. But if for those who have to drop at 3 o'clock, please do complete the post-training survey so that we can get all of your feedback and apply it for upcoming trainings. All right. When will the new 11708 be available?
I think we had answered that in the prior question. We will confirm, but it should be available come reporting go live.
All right. Okay, for the new RFS reporting, are 1 to 4 family loans in a single pool considered single family for RFS purposes?
I will defer that to the technical team if Mike or Christy are on and can answer that.
I believe Christy had to drop. Oh, no, there she is. Okay.
Which question? I'm sorry.
For the new RFS reporting, are 1 to 4 family loans in a single family pool considered single family for RFS purposes?
I don't understand the question.
Jacqueline, would you mind sending that question to the team offline through ask.GinnieMateHUD.gov and elaborate a little bit more so that we can better understand and respond to that question for you? Thank you so much. For SFPDM final certification, is it possible to select bulk number of pools to final certify for attestation?
Yes, final certification does not require attestation. Attestation is only required for initial certification.
And can pool balances be added to the pool screen?
Yes, we will note this and add it to the backlog.
Okay. And when will the ENO indicator become a requirement? I'm assuming that question is for a non-e-note issuer, and we have not made that requirement available yet, and we will make sure to make you aware of when it will become available, which is why we are encouraging you to, as a manual entry issuer or as a non-e-note issuer, to begin populating the e-note indicator in SFPDM. So we don't have an exact date for you quite yet, but be sure to know that when we do have it, you will know. But yes, please do begin if you can to begin populating that e-note indicator in SFPDM. If we elect to do the second cycle of testing, do we need to contact someone to let them know we won't be participating in the first cycle?
So yes, so that will be a part of the test plan that is submitted by organizations. You will let us know which testing cycle you plan to be submitting data for.
Thank you very much. And it looks like we have another anonymous question that is being answered on the back end. Oh, well, I'll ask it. It looks like it stopped.
I was typing since
Okay.
I'm already here. Yeah, so if ICS is your servicing system for RFS data, then they should be the ones reporting on your behalf, but would definitely recommend coordinating with them as needed to ensure that there is nothing that they require from you.
Yes, please contact your servicing bureau to work with them on testing requirements, as Heather just mentioned. All right, I believe we were able to get through all of the questions in the Q&A box. Again, the survey has been, the link to the post-training survey has been added to the chat. So please take a moment to complete that survey. We thank you so much for attending today's call. We are 2 minutes over. If there are any hands raised on the call, I do not want to ignore you. So if there are any hands raised on the call, please let me know and we will unmute you and so that you can ask your question.
Hi, Renee. We just had a hand go up from Maria Rodriguez. And Maria, you've been placed off mute and should be able to ask your question now. It looked like her hand went back down, so
Okay.
no
All
other hands are raised right
No
now.
problem, Maria. Maria, and if you weren't able to ask your question on this call, again, please, for Maria and anyone else, if there are questions that you would like to ask that you weren't able to ask during today's call, please send an email to askginniemay@hud.gov, and someone from one of our project teams will be able to respond to your question. Yes, will all questions answered be available in the recording? Yes, all of the questions that were asked during today's presentation will be available through the recording. Thank you so much for asking that question. I'd also like to point out that not only will the presentation be made available after this call, but the recording will be available as well. And once those two documents are available, you'll receive a notification if you have registered on my Ginnie Mae, I'm sorry, on GinnieMay.gov to receive notifications about new training and resources that have been published to the website. So be on the lookout by end of day tomorrow to be able to access the presentations from today, as well as today's training recording video. All right, again, thank you everyone so much. Enjoy the rest of your week and have a wonderful weekend, and we will meet again in a few months. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.